Hello and welcome to another video about Crashing Planes, where I, T-Mac, review all the new maps all the time, playable on Mythical Gaming. That's Mythical Gaming. Link in the description. So we have yet another week that's packed with traps, so grab a 10-piece of nuggets for only $1.99 at my local Burger King, and get comfortable because we're going in hard into the maps, not the traps. So to start things off, I'd like to mention that bhop_izanma got an update patching the start zone skip that lets you get onto the wall, which means that you can no longer do that massive skip, making the map take around 20 seconds longer, or 1 minute total. It's definitely worth a play if you haven't already. This is a good update, so good job to MHG42, and into the fresh maps for this week. bhop_pickles was the first map of the week, and was Jeff the Pickle's first map ever. Overall, texture and color-wise, the map is alright, consisting mostly of green dev textures lit up with a glow towards the beginning before opening up into a city overlook skybox. Overall, the textures just look okay for me, though the green glow does give a lasting impression and makes the map somewhat memorable. As for the gameplay, this is a short strafe map with plenty of options in terms of route building, mainly due to the abundance of blocks, which are all fairly diverse in shape. The obstacles on the map are all fun, if not a bit simple, though before the ending it's easy to assume that you're supposed to jump on the pink part of the floor, when in actuality you're supposed to land on the regular floor and avoid the pink, which is a bit annoying. But this map also includes a very easy to hit skip by surfing onto the top of the wall, so that's there, and I have no problem with it, but I do have a problem with the way that the map just sort of dead ends and then cuts to another room, which is the ending. That's a bit jarring. Nitpicks aside though, this map was fairly quick and fun, so good job to Jeff, and this gets a 7 out of 11. Moving right along to map number 2, bhop_mood was created by Badichiwa and was ported by Gamebanana. It's been fixed so that it's playable and not a black screen, so that's great. The map has a color scheme that mixes gray, brown, and black with purple boosters, which all looks pretty bland and average, but turning the corner into the final room, the map opens up into a really clean and open white and black dev texture room with this giant blue particle lift in the middle, all of which looks really cool. As for the gameplay, this map is quite fun. It's very open and strafey with some cool boosters, diversified block shapes, and tons of options in terms of route building. The obstacles were also very well done, especially in the final room, which allows for plenty of different options, whether that be b-hopping on regular blocks, using boosters or air lifts, and it even gives you a surf option on your way to the end, if you think you're capable of hitting the skip, which isn't the easiest thing ever, but I didn't have too much trouble once I found a route, so I doubt you will either. I think this map was really well put together. It's got a fairly high skill ceiling, and it took me around 29.5 seconds to beat, so good job to Badichiwa. I don't know how to say your fucking name, but good job to you, and good job to Gamebanana for the port. This map gets a 9 out of 11, and brings us to the third map of the week, which was bhop_Fuji, and it's another map created once again by Badichiwa and ported by Gamebanana, who has been porting maps harder than anything that I've ever seen before, so good job, dude, keep it up. You're giving us plenty of content to play through. Looks-wise, this one has a certain pleasantness to it. Everything is fairly clean and simple texture-wise, using a lot of thin, rectangular bars that pipe their way through all the stages, all of which, the stages that is, have their own colors to define them, and the map also has these little hidden areas higher up in the map, which is a neat little addition for people who like to explore larger maps. Also, there's some trees and grass occasionally, which contrast the style in a refreshing way. As for the gameplay, this map is somewhat challenging, probably around a tier 4, and is very open when it needs to be, but at other times it is more tightly compact and technically challenging. bhop_Fuji has a lot of great, unique block layouts and obstacles which work quite well for the most part. There are plenty of options for route building and optimizations that cut jumps, as well as some pretty massive skips that I believe are intentional, based on the fact that there are blocks placed throughout the map in order to aid in these skips, and there are ramps at a fair amount of the checkpoints, which can be used to skip large portions of levels depending on how much speed you have. That said, I do have a few nitpicks with the map, one being that though most of the skinny poles sprawled out throughout the map can be jumped on, there are some that trigger you back, which is a bit annoying and inconsistent. Also, parts of the map feel a little too cluttered with unnecessary blocks, but overall, that is a nitpick, and this map took me about 4.5 minutes to beat. but if Concept gets his run uploaded to his channel in time, then there will be a link to that in the description, as it is very fast. All things considered, I think this is a very well-made map with just a couple of small issues in a very big map, and I think that it earns itself a very light 10 out of 11. So good job to Badichiwa and to GamaCase, but bhop_Fogos was the 4th map to come out this week, and it's Snooper's latest map, so let's hop right into that. This map has a sandy castle-type theme, comprised of tanned bricks and the same skyboxes in bhop_Pickles. The aesthetics on this map are quite minimalistic, but fairly warm and inviting. The gameplay is also quite good, and there are a lot of unique and interesting obstacles. It has a good climby layout, and it's fairly easy to figure out where you want to go. Also, the map makes use of surf ramps and has a good range of different block types. That said, the block layout is a touch cluttered, and the booster towards the beginning sometimes doesn't work well, or will just boost you a little too low to get to the block on the wall. All that in mind, this is still a decent map. It took me about 36.5 seconds, and it is getting an 8 out of 11. So moving along to map number 5, bhop_, another booster map, was created by Cayman and TBH, and has the worst screenshots in Gamebanana history. I mean, come on, at least turn off your damn net graph, and for fuck's sakes, TBH, switch your crosshair style to static. Anyways, fully expecting this to be a troll map, let's get into it. The textures are all bluish green, and the same walls that I complained about on Tangos for Fags make another appearance. Though this time they don't blend in as well, so it's much easier not to run into them. As for the map, this might come as a surprise, but it's actually pretty good. You start off with a massive speed boost and go around some fun and intricately laid out pathways with all sorts of differently shaped blocks and ramps. There's also a neat little shortcut before the ramp that saves a little time, and the ending is very cool and memorable, though a little confusing and hard to tell where you're supposed to go. The map took me about 18.5 seconds to beat, and is getting an 8 out of 11, so good job to both of you, especially Cayman, who apparently did 95% of the work, and probably had no say in naming the RAR file that you download from Gamebanana. Anyways, bhop_Miracle was the next map to come out this week, and is Codzilla's latest. This map keeps it very simple in the color and texture department, though when the map does use color, it looks nice in a simplistic sort of way. But this one's all about the gameplay, so the layout is very exciting and fun, constantly exploring new areas with some fun transitions through different elevations, and there are some really clever and fun obstacles along the way. This map is a strafe map, and Codzilla shows once again that he really knows what he's doing, especially when it comes to designing these wide-open, fun, longish strafe maps. Still though, I didn't like that the first booster after the doorway wasn't distinguished. It really caught me off guard on my first deepish run into the map, and I'd expect it'll have a similar effect on you if you aren't expecting it. Same goes for the drop-down ramp at the end. I mistook it for a surf at first because I couldn't tell exactly what it was, and you can't really see too well into that hole. Those two things aside, I think this is a really good, moderate to long, fun strafe map. It took me about 2 minutes and 40 seconds to beat, with a couple of hard fails, and it's getting a 9 out of 11. So good job to Codzilla, and let's get into map number 7. bhop_Apathy marks the return of veteran mapper Tony Montana, and don't worry buddy, I'll be softer on Apathy than Ox was on Interloper. This one feels like a brightly lit padded room designed to keep all the crazy thoughts in my head from escaping into the real world. The walls and floors are all made up of white tiles, but instead of feeling monotonous and boring, Tony did a really great job on the lighting and interconnecting hive-like paths to make the map feel exciting and elegant, despite how basic things might look at a first glance. As for gameplay, that's where the map starts to show its flaws. The winding paths kind of get confusing, especially with all the extra nooks and crannies dug out that lead to nowhere. There are also some pretty big fallbacks that tend to happen. Nonetheless, this map certainly has more than its fair shares of positives as well. The way the map re-explores itself from different vantage points and guides you through small tight spaces into large open rooms is very exciting and satisfying. The block types were mixed up just well enough to keep them enjoyable and refreshing throughout the map. The layout was obviously good as well, allowing for tons of optimizations and small skips here and there, and overall I think this map is certainly worth a play. It took me just under 57 seconds to complete, but you can watch Eskatka do it in 30.7 seconds on either his channel or on Global Jumps, though I suggest you check out his channel either way if you haven't already, because his run on Suka Bliad is fucking insane. Link to his channel and the Global Jumps run in the description. As far as this map goes, it gets a fair 8 out of 11. So good job, Tony, and onwards to map number 8. bhop_short_shit is a map that was created by Xerxes, and the color scheme is fun, and I liked the different block types used, and the layout isn't terribly bland, considering this map is just a straight line with no elevation that, it took me about 11 seconds to beat. So, this map certainly lives up to the name in that it's short, though I don't inherently think it's shit. I think the map deserves a fair 4, just because this map is too damn short, and it's a straight line. So nice try to Xerxes. Hopefully long shit will be better, but that will be in next week's review, and we still have stuff to get through in this week's review. So, bhop_distilled is the new creator map. Texture and color-wise, it's all dev textures and pretty okay all the way around, but I want to get into the gameplay. So I'm going to start off by saying this isn't your average map that comes out nowadays. This map throws out all kinds of interesting obstacles and layouts at you. For instance, the start is this weird speed boost into a ramp that you need to bank off of to hit an air booster. There's also a surf part where you go into the wall and get tellied back onto the surf ramp with your speed, which is something that I recall occasionally running into in surf, but I can't really think of any time that it's been implemented into a bhop map, so that's a plus. This map is also pretty exciting in terms of obstacles and stage layout, with some challenging obstacles and plenty of options for cutting jumps and route improvements. While I do commend Creator for the ingenuity and willingness to add new and unique obstacles, I do have some issues with them in particular. To start with, I found that the hardest part of the map was getting to the first checkpoint. I found the ramp into the boost to be quite difficult and very inconsistent. This wouldn't be an issue at all if it were towards the end of the map, or if the rest of the map were also very challenging, or even if there were a slower path for newer players. But another issue of mine is that the surf into the wall isn't something that I expected to be there, and I could probably safely say that other people will see it as confusing if they don't expect it as well. Finally, I want to state that I think the ending kind of comes out of nowhere, and it's fairly underwhelming for a map that did so many interesting and cool things throughout. All that said, I think this map is worth checking out. It took me about 1 minute and 34 seconds, and it gets an 8 out of 11. So good job to Creator, and on to bhop_alien_ruins, which was created by Fulium. This map, as the title implies, is themed around alien ruins, at times feeling very Halo-like. The graphical designs are complementary and very cool, the color scheme and textures are good, and the skybox fits the map incredibly well. I also like the choice to dig the tunnels out of the walls as opposed to just making regular hallways. As a design choice, that was super cool. As for the gameplay, this map weaves all sorts of interesting pathways, climbs, and drop-downs. The layout is great, and oftentimes offers a slower or easier pathway to weaker bhoppers, and vice versa. The map is very open and strafe-heavy, but gets tighter and slightly more technical in some areas. If I had to criticize the map, which I do since it's my self-appointed job, I'd say that the map was a little too heavy on using solely square blocks, and the tunnel leading into the outside. If you fail, you can sometimes fall back into the previous area before the surf, though it doesn't really happen too often. All that said, this is a great little map. It took me about 1 minute and 20 seconds with a flub at the ending, but that said, I'm giving this one another very light 10 out of 11, with the suggestion that you play it, because it's worth your time. So good job, Fulium, and that takes us to bhop_bridge, which was created by MHG42, and as the name implies, this is a bridge-themed map, obviously. So, texture-wise, the map is excellent. The wooden plank floors and walls are a really great lead-up to the bridge, which is also very well designed and looks colossally huge as you approach it. This map also has a really awesome skybox that looks great and complements the map incredibly well. As for the layout, the map is fairly good, especially with the build-up towards the bridge, though once you actually get onto the bridge, things become a little bit less exciting in terms of layout. It would have been really cool to have some trucks parked that you have to go around the outside of the bridge to get around, or something along those lines to break up the 2 checkpoints of obstacle-less blocks. Also, on the climb up towards the bridge, there is an issue with the triggers, setting you back if you get too close to some of the blocks. Other than that, though, the map doesn't really have too much to complain about. The block types and obstacles are all diverse and engaging, and the map gives you room to strafe, but gets technically challenging at points, and is a decent 45-ish second map that I'm giving a strong 8 out of 11. So good job to MHG42 for another good map, and that leads into the final map of the week. bhop_Ali, AHLIE, is created by Hara. Now this map has already received an update, but I'll talk about it now because the review is already so long that another 30 seconds won't really hurt anyone. Texture and color-wise, the blocks kind of clash with the walls, and overall the grass blocks are fairly unappealing. Also, there's a black wall at the end, which was apparently fixed in the update, so I'll talk about that in the update section of the next map review. But as for the gameplay, the map is very simple with basic layout, and though the drop-down was a nice touch and the elevation changes were decent, to sum everything up, it was just an okay first ever map attempt by Hera. It took me a little over 21.5 seconds, and I'm giving it a 5 out of 11. So good job to Hera, and that is all the time that I have for this week's episode of the map review, so make sure to leave a like if you like, comment, and subscribe, share this video with your people that you know, donate to my PayPal, go to Burger King, check out my Twitter at TMacDagoon, and my gaming channel, TMax Dungeon Games, where Asperger just sent me Super Hot. So I'll be making a video playing that game on that channel sometime this week or next, depending on how busy it is. I am, rather. So shout out to him for being an awesome guy, and I think that is about all that I have to say for this week. So if you're still with me, then I just want you to know. Ted Cruz eats cats.